after he was sentenced earlier today. This is live.
So yeah, we are planning to appeal. We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
Absolutely. Filed a cross appeal. What would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
He would not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
Make of his remarks.
He's biased.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror,
yes,
one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
So, Judge Subramanian sentenced Puff to 50 months in prison. This a sentence this harsh for a first offender with a criminal history category of 0, no prior charges, is way over the sentencing guideline range that Judge Subramanian asked for himself out of his own mouth. Judge Subramanian went back on his own word. This was his order. This was his order, dated July the 9th, 2025, where he specifically asks for 18 USC 2421, sentencing guideline range 2G1.1A2, criminal history category of 1. When you did the math on that, it comes back at a base offense level of 14, which the guideline range is 15 months to 21 months. Based on the sentence that he gave Puff yesterday, that's a 9-level enhancement to either a 22 or a 23. So that's an 8 to 9 level enhancement. And as you just heard Mark Agnifilo state, coercion the judge used, and from what I understand, he used acquitted conduct. Now, we know that Amendment 826, acquitted conduct. Relevant conduct does not include conduct for which the defendant was criminally charged and acquitted in federal court. unless such conduct also establishes in whole or in part the instant offense or conviction. I gotta read I got the transcript. I didn't read it yet. I gotta read it. Where my paperclip go, yo? Here you go. I didn't read it yet. But from what little I read, from what little I heard, supposedly the male escorts were supposed to be the victims. But somehow yesterday at sentencing, from what I understand, Cassie and Jane became the victims, when in fact these were his girlfriends. Cassie definitely for 11 years voluntarily participated in the freak-offs. Jane he was involved with for over 3 years. She voluntarily participated in the freak-offs, set them up, bought lingerie, costumes for Puff, the male escort, and herself. Cassie had relations with multiple male escorts. One of them got her pregnant, was involved with her for 7 to 8 years. But he continued to reference Cassie and Jane and the abuse that was done to them. But the jury, like Mark Agnifilo said, rejected that at the trial. They watched video, we saw emails, we saw text messages that both Cassie and Jane were willing participants. Why didn't, if Cassie and Jane felt like such victims and they wanted such vindication, and I'm not talking about letters that were wrote by Doug Wigdor on behalf of Cassie, because I don't believe Cassie wrote the letter this time or the letter to deny the bail. I think that was clearly, my opinion, guess, was her lawyer who filed a federal complaint with perjury in it. If Cassie and Jane were so pissed off about Puff, why didn't they show up at the trial and come and speak to the judge and demand a harsher sentence for Puff at sentencing? Why weren't they there? You know why? Because the federal prosecutors called them, called Cassie, called Jane, and they didn't pick up the phone. Or if they did pick up the phone, the prosecutors told them, so listen, we want you to come down and make a statement to the judge on sentencing day. And they told them, no, we're not doing that. And they didn't come. Instead, they wanted Mia to come, a woman who testified under a fake name, like a lot of y'all got in social media, under a fake profile, like a lot of y'all got in social media, who's living a fake life, like a lot of y'all in social media. And she wasn't even a victim of the RICO, the sex trafficking, nothing. Nor was she a part of the Mann Act charge. But they wanted her to come testify. Again, under a fake pseudonym, fake voice, everything fake. Alexander Shapiro was going to appeal this. This will be appealed to the Second Circuit. Judge Subramanian, this was true to form. I was watching on another show, that, you know, Judge Subramanian is a neophyte judge. He's a neophyte. And this case was too much for him. But he was strategically placed there by the Southern District of New York because they knew that they can intimidate him, that they can move him, that they can, what's up, man? That they can make him do what they wanted him to do. And that's precisely what they did. Several occasions throughout the trial, he did the same exact thing. You know, one thing about being a man, right? Before I'm a YouTuber, I'm a man. Before I'm an accountant, before I'm a real estate investor, before I'm a father, I'm a man. And what I mean by that is that when you're a man, you got to be a man. And a judge is charged with administering justice according to the rule of law. That's it. Irrespective of whether he's accepted or shunned by whomever, based upon the true, strict administration of justice. Clearly yesterday, that was not the case. When it came down to juror number 6, he did the exact same thing. He took a position in the morning, very, very strong, committed position that juror number 6 wouldn't be removed. This was around 8:45 in the morning. We went to lunch. When we came back in the afternoon, after everybody had left the courtroom, he changed his mind and came up with a decision that juror number 6 would be removed. He did the same thing at the bail hearing when Puffy was acquitted. Was going to give Puff bail, or at least he made it seem as though he was going to. We took a break. He went in the back. When he came back, he denied the bail for whatever reason. You just heard me read Amendment 826. You cannot use acquitted conduct in the calculation of the sentencing guidelines. How he went from a level 14 to a level 23, I don't know. You know, like I say, Judge Subramanian is a neophyte. And, you know, this was, this whole thing with the Southern District of New York, the Southern District of New York has brought shame to all federal prosecutors in the United States. And this is supposed to be the top tier of the federal prosecutors in the country. Judge Subramanian has brought ill repute and tarnished the brand and the image of the federal judgeship in the country. And I would imagine, I would be willing to bet that there are federal judges out there that looked at what this man did yesterday and just lost all respect for him as a judge. Whether he liked Puffy, whether he hated Puffy, whether he was biased against Puffy, or whether he was not biased against Puffy. His job and his duty as a judge in the federal system is to administer justice according to the letter of the law. That's it. That's what he's charged with doing. And in my opinion, I don't think he did that. We just heard Mark Agnifilo say that he used the word coercion 12 times on record. And he's going to have to answer for that in the Court of Appeals. Puffy will be fine. Puffy is fine out in MDC, Brooklyn. Whatever prison he gets sent to, he'll be fine. His paperwork is straight. He didn't rat. He's not a piece of shit rat. That means a lot in the federal prison system. On that level, Puffy's gonna get respect no matter where he goes, because everybody knows that he went to trial with the feds and beat them at trial. He'll be fine. His lawyers are going to appeal, and you never know. He may end up getting a pardon from the president. Let's see how it goes. Peace.